For years, Scotland's Northern Isles have benefited from North Sea oil revenues, but now the islands have become a hotbed of renewable energy innovation. As Scotland prepares to host the COP26 UN Climate Summit in November, the Northern Isles could serve as an example for other nations, both of cutting-edge technologies and of difficult political choices.
It looks like a spaceship that's crashed to Earth. But the thousands of tons of wreckage on this Shetland shore are actually a former oil rig. As the high watermark of the North Sea oil boom recedes, more of these huge structures will be brought here for dismantling. Islanders are wondering what comes next for their economy, which has long been supported by fossil fuels. Some think the energy source of the future isn't far away.
Over there you've got the North Sea, and behind me you've got the Atlantic Ocean. And every 6 hours you've got this battle where each one's sort of emptying into the other. So 500 million tonnes of seawater moves through this site per hour on a spring tide.
Orbital's O2 is the world's most powerful tidal generator. Moored off the coast of Orkney, the turbine can produce enough electricity for 2,000 homes. But this is far from the first tidal power experiment. Some of those that failed are still visible in Orkney's coastal waters. Orbital think they'll be different.
There's loads of machines been tested. Some of them haven't gotten over the line and some of them have. And that's what the test site's for. So we end up with a product, the O2 behind us, which we think is ready. We're happy with it. We're making power with it right now. And we think that this product is scalable.
Another device is being tested in the green gloom beneath Shetland's waves. Nova Innovations turbines take tidal power from the sea floor to electric cars on the islands, harnessing its key advantage over other renewables.
The beauty of tidal energy is that it's totally predictable, so I can tell you tomorrow or 2,000 years from now how much tide is going to be flowing through that channel out there. Our energy resource is not dependent on the weather, it's slightly influenced by it, but basically it's predictable.
Those all-important tides may be regular, but they only come in and out twice a day. Luckily, the Northern Isles are an ideal testing ground for exploring innovative ways to store that energy.
A lot of people describe Orkney as a living laboratory, and we have lots of test sites and various different companies that are all working together in this sort of green economy.
The European Marine Energy Centre, based here, thinks hydrogen could be one answer. Researchers convert the tidal energy into hydrogen, which can then be stored and turned back into green electricity whenever it's needed. It's already powering these ferries when they dock overnight, and the hope is that this proof of concept could work on a bigger scale. But the Northern Isles' energy future is far from settled. Fossil fuels have fired the area's economy since the 1970s. Shetland still hosts one of Europe's largest oil and gas terminals, which provides high-skilled jobs and amenities for the 23,000 islanders. But the fuel that comes in here doesn't keep the Shetlanders' lights on. Most of it goes overseas, leaving them to rely on more expensive imports. These 5 wind turbines at Burradale could signal the start of the island's energy independence. Across Shetland's central mainland, the foundations of over 100 turbines are now being laid as part of the new Viking wind farm project. These will be able to power all of Shetland, with excess electricity being sold to the Scottish mainland.
We've maybe been delayed somewhat because of how much we've benefited from oil and gas, so we've maybe become quite used to that business, but now we're slowly moving away and using oil and gas as an enabler to the transitions.
Shaggy! But many islanders question the huge scale of the Viking project, like Shetland pony breeder Elaine Tate.
The Shetlanders that I know are really against the Viking project. They're not against renewable energy. That is always a good thing, but it just seems to be that there's nothing green about this project. It's one of the largest wind farms, if not the largest wind farm in Europe, on one of the smallest islands, and it doesn't make any sense.
Despite the island's progress harnessing the wind and tides, there remains the question of whether valuable oil and gas should be left in the ground. Greenpeace are among those campaigning against an application to drill a new oil field, known as Cambo. The UK government is set to decide next year, after the COP26 climate conference.
I think we need to leave as much of it in the ground as we possibly can. There is an amount of fossil fuels that we need to use as we taper down to net zero, but I think We cannot continue to just go approving oil and gas fields as if there isn't a climate emergency, because there is one.
Others think placing so much reliance on renewables isn't realistic.
People are in two minds. Should we develop it? Because if we don't develop it, we'll rely more on imports. But even without Cambo, we've got the Clare field west of Shetland, which is looking to be developed. So oil and gas does seem to be in the mix for at least another 20 to 30 years.
The remains of Neolithic settlements still dot the landscape of the Northern Isles. Those living here now face difficult choices about what kind of legacy they will leave for future generations.